dark on the east coast, and you can see where the storm's been progressing in the last few hours on the radar imagery. The inner eye wall seems to have almost disappeared completely, and just that larger eye is now becoming more apparent, and it's making its closest approach to the area around Cape Canaveral, it would appear, and it's going to continue towards the northwest by the looks of things, or maybe even slightly east of that. But what we can say is that the storm hasn't made landfall between West Palm Beach and Cape Canaveral. It doesn't look like it will make landfall in Cape Canaveral, and if it does make landfall, it may well be a bit further north than that, if it makes landfall in Florida at all. That's good news for people inland. It still might get serious inland, or maybe not as much as it could have been, but along the coast it's still going to be very bad news. There could still be substantial surf, especially as we get into this morning, and I believe the tides are going to be on the rise. That is under normal conditions, but added to that the storm surge of several feet. So for people who are in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, looks like you're in the clear now, and then you go up towards West Palm Beach. Things should be returning to normal, starting to now, and then towards Jupiter is probably on the edge of the places that are getting back to normal. St. Lucie looks like it's just receiving the last, or one of the last bands, and then further north you're still in the thick of it, especially, okay, the storm is closest to probably Melbourne right now, or Cape Canaveral itself, or Cocoa Beach, so that's where things will be getting pretty serious, just on the very edge of that eye wall. So if the eye wall just moves just a tiny bit further towards the west there, which it probably will, things could get pretty serious if they're not getting serious there already. And then further north to Titusville, things are going to get worse there. Things may already be pretty inclement there. Towards Daytona Beach, more rainfall occurring there right now, could get significantly worse there yet. And I've been looking at some webcams, can't bring any to you at the moment unfortunately, but I've not noticed anything too significant in terms of surge yet. Maybe I'm not looking in the right places, but I'll obviously keep you on top of that over the coming hours. So let's go to the latest forecast. This was at 5 AM. National Hurricane Center had it at 120 miles per hour with a pressure of, I think it was still 938 millibars, and they'll have done the update at 6 AM now. So a wind gust of 100 miles per hour has been recorded in the last hour at Cape Canaveral. So that's a wind gust of 100 miles per hour at Cape Canaveral, which is obviously pretty serious. I don't know about the sustained winds, but the wind gusts to triple digits, and it's going to be a rough ride over there for the next hour or two, or maybe three. 938 millibars the pressure. It's 25 miles east of Cape Canaveral, and it's going to be a rough few hours there. There's the forecast. It's now forecast not to make a landfall at all, but is still going to stick very close to the coastline. Let's read out the warnings. A hurricane warning is in effect for the northwestern Bahamas still, including the Abarcos, Andros Island, Berry Islands, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama Island and New Providence, and for Jupiter Inlet to South Sante River. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Anclote River to Suwannee River, north of South Sante River to Surf City, Boca Raton to Jupiter Inlet. A tropical storm watch is in effect for Anna Maria Island to Anclote River. Interests elsewhere in the Florida Peninsula and in the Carolinas should monitor the progress of Matthew. The hurricane warning for the northwestern Bahamas will likely be discontinued later this morning. In terms of rainfall, obviously in Florida to expect, I think it was, I can't quite see it right now, but several inches obviously. Yes, additional rainfall of 1 to 2 inches over the northwestern Bahamas, with isolated maximum storm total amounts of 15 inches. Accumulations of 8 to 12 inches over the Atlantic coast of the US, from central Florida to eastern North Carolina, with possible isolated maximum amounts of 15 inches. The rainfall may result in flooding and flash flooding. I'm going to bring you the latest from Florida's power outages, county by county. In Miami-Dade County, there are 8,000 customers without power. It's 9,000 in Broward County. It's 52,500 in Palm Beach County. It's 44,000 in Martin County. That's half the county, pretty much. 41,000 in St. Lucie County. That's 1/3. Indian River County is without power for nearly 30,000. That's over half. In Brevard County, it's 100,000. That's 1/3. In Volusia County, it's 14,000. That's nearly 1/10. In Flagler County, it's 3,000. That's 1/20 of people. And in St. Johns County, just the 670. And in Okeechobee County, it's 1,600. And in Seminole County, it's 2,400. So that's the latest. Let me see if I can bring you any warnings from Florida and beyond in terms of flooding. So let me read this out. A flood warning is in effect for central Seminole County in east central Florida, Brevard County in Florida, and Volusia County in east central Florida, as we take a look back at the radar again. That's until 8:30 this morning. Also, it's expected to push the St. Johns River near Geneva above flood stage by late this weekend. And again for the St. Johns River at Astor and for Deland, no, just for Astor, major flooding is forecast. For Deland, it's minor flooding forecast. And that's the St. Johns River. The Peace River at Bartow, Zolfo Springs and Arcadia, there's a flood warning. The Alafia River at Lithia, there's a flood warning. The Miaka River at Miaka River State Park and Horse Creek near Arcadia, it's a flood warning as well. Appears to be that you're up to date for Florida. Further north, the conditions are also not great, with flash flood watches and warnings, I believe. So a flash flood watch continues for portions of southeast Georgia and southeast South Carolina, which includes the following areas. In southeast Georgia, it's Bullock, Candler, coastal Bryan, coastal Chatham, coastal Liberty, coastal McIntosh, Effingham, Evans, inland Bryan, inland Chatham, inland Liberty, inland McIntosh, Jenkins, Long, Screven and Tatnall. In southeast South Carolina, it's Allendale, Beaufort, Charleston, coastal Colleton, coastal Jasper, Dorchester, Hampton, inland Berkeley, inland Colleton, inland Jasper and tidal Berkeley, all for flash flood watches, which means that flooding could occur quickly due to the heavy rainfall. I'm guessing there's going to be significant amounts of rainfall heading for that area right now and over the next hour or two. And then further north, there is a flash flood warning. Sorry, there is a flood warning for the lumber near Lumberton, affecting Robeson County, North Carolina. And also, a flash flood watch remains in effect for portions of southeast North Carolina and northeast South Carolina. The following locations: southeastern North Carolina, Bladen, Brunswick, New Hanover, Pender, Columbus, and Robeson. In northeastern South Carolina, it's Georgetown, Horry, Darlington, Dillon, Florence, Marion, Marlborough, and Williamsburg. That's the flash flood watch for that area. And also for some other locations, just trying to see here. Trying to find the ones that I've not read out. For a portion of eastern North Carolina, including the following areas: Beaufort, Carteret, Craven, Duplin, Greene, Jones, Lenoir, or Lenoir, or whatever, Onslow, Outer Banks, Hyde, Pamlico, and Pitt, all under flash flood watches. And also for portions of Piedmont, North Carolina, and upstate South Carolina, including the following areas: Union, and in upstate South Carolina, Chester and York, from this evening through Saturday night. And then for east central Georgia and central South Carolina, I'm not sure I've read this one out, so if I have, I'll read it again. Flash flood watch for Aiken, Bamberg, Barnwell, Calhoun, Chesterfield, Clarendon, Fairfield, Kershaw, Lancaster, Lee, Lexington, Orangeburg, Richland, and Sumter. And I believe, nope, there's even more. For central North Carolina, Anson, Cumberland, Edgecombe, Harnett, Hoke, Johnston, Lee, Montgomery, Moore, Richmond, Sampson, Scotland, Wayne, and Wilson. That's the latest in the flash flood watches, and the worst conditions occurring on Cape Canaveral right now, where they're reporting at least 100 miles per hour gusts, and it could get worse in the next hour or two. And that pretty much concludes my update at 6 o'clock, and we'll be returning at 10 o'clock with full coverage of the storm, as we have done in previous days. So that's the latest from Florida. We'll leave this image up, I think, unless we've got something else, but it doesn't appear that we do. So this is what we have right now, and full coverage from us will begin at 10 o'clock. And in the meantime, I suggest a little bit more rest, which is certainly what I'll be doing. No one else is here to man the stream, so we cannot have any audio from anyone else, I'm afraid. But until 10 o'clock, we'll leave you with this imagery. I'm not sure if it updates on its own, but that's the current radar. I'm trying to get radar on the screen close up anyway, because we're trying to get something else to show up here, but it doesn't appear to be working. So let's bring you back the other views that we were looking at previously, if we can, if they are there, and see what it comes up with, just because I don't believe this image will be automated, so we can try and get the latest from an automated imagery that updates. But at 6:14 Eastern Time, that's all from me for now, and we'll bring you more updates at 10 o'clock, and we'll bring you the latest for the rest of Florida, and more news as it comes in. As I say, the webcams, there doesn't appear to be any right now. In fact, I can give you a quick traffic update, I believe. Or if I clicked off that now. Can't find it right now. Here's some recent imagery whilst we're waiting. But I'm just going to try and get up some traffic cameras as well near Daytona Beach. There's some in town as well, so we might be able to see, or I might be able to tell you what they're seeing. But in terms of the traffic situation, the top end of I-4 appears to be either closed or stationary. Also, Route 528, which is west of Cocoa, it's looking like part of that is closed, as is I-95 south of Rockledge. Not looking good there. And also huge parts of the interstate from north of Fort Pierce to near Palm Bay appears to be having issues. And then you've got what route is that? The Florida Turnpike seems to be closed for large parts, either closed or stationary. I can't quite figure it out. South of St. Cloud all the way to nearly at Port St. Lucie at Fort Pierce.